of concern can be found in the transcript of one of the calls. As Your Honor will recall, we had a person come to us who had received one of these calls, had actually recorded the call. And so our office prepared a transcript, and that was attached as Exhibit B, I believe, to our motion for order prohibiting contact. In addition to generic questions about the criminal justice system, here's where we get to things that concern the state immensely. Question: have you read, seen, or heard if Brian Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania? Question: have you read, seen, or heard if police found a knife sheath on the bed next to one of the victims? Question: have you read, seen, or heard that DNA found on the knife sheath was later matched to Brian Kohberger? Question: have you read, seen, or heard if Brian Kohberger owned the same type of car recorded on video driving in the neighborhood where the killings occurred? Have you seen, read, seen, or heard if the cell phone tower data showed that Brian Kohberger made several trips near the victim's home in the month before the killing? Have you read, seen, or heard if the university students in Moscow and their parents lived in fear until Brian Kohberger was arrested for the murders? Have you read, seen, or heard if Brian Kohberger said that he was out driving alone on the night of the murders? Have you read, seen, or heard if Brian Kohberger stalked one of the victims? Have you read, seen, or heard if Brian Kohberger had followed one of the victims on social media? Your Honor, there is absolutely no question but that those questions are disseminating by means of communication evidence expected to be presented, evidence that could be or would be inadmissible at trial. And I will say there are a number of these representations placed in the form of a question, but representations of fact that are not true or that would not be offered at trial, or the performance or results of the examination test. And these questions specifically refer to DNA testing. Now, I recognize that the defense says, well, all of this information is out there in the public media somewhere, but that misses the point. That's assuming that every person in Latah County who is called has followed all of this nonsense in social media, has followed extensive coverage. There are people who consciously avoid reading coverage or listening to coverage about this case because they don't want to. That's the fallacy of the position defense is taking here. So what the agents of the defense have done is they have gone out and interrogated 400 citizens of Latah County and embedded in them facts specific to this case, some of which are not even true, some of which would not be admissible in court. And those people, whether they had heard that information before or not, are now saturated with that information.